Just trying to survive and learn to love along the way by Foreplay on AO3. Episode 44, Chapter 44 of Quirks and a Plan. Katsuki's head is throbbing, so much so that he's having a hard time following what the freak with the hands is saying. He freaks a little when the guy mentions his boss and how his boss wants something from shitty Deku of all people. Katsuki is smart enough to realize how Deku got his quirk. He's known the motherfucker's entire life. Quirk don't just appear 10 years later. Par that with the weird relationship with All Might and how similar their quirks are, as well as the number one hero Dwelling's power, it's pretty fucking simple to figure out. All Might gave Izuku his power, so it shouldn't be a surprise when that handsy fucker mentions that his boss wants Deku's quirk. From the way he acts, Katsuki had thought that Shigaraki was the leader of their group of losers. But from Izuku's reaction, it seems like the boss is super powerful. Why the fuck doesn't Katsuki know who this guy is? He can hear Izuku's sharp intake when Shigaraki opens a door and announces the man as One for All. The guy is creepy as hell, but the gag in his mouth prevents him from being too obvious about his reaction. The man steps into the room slowly, and the smaller man follows suit. He's dressed in a ragged doctor's coat and carries a briefcase containing unknown horrors. All for One barely spares him a glance before approaching Izuku. He grabs a full fist of hair and yanks his head to the side, towards Katsuki, to bare his neck. The villain gestures the doctor forward. The man pulls a long needle from his briefcase before approaching. Hey! Get away! Izuku's cries are quiet, but they're all he could hear in the room. Katsuki wants to yell too, but this fucking gag prevents that. The doctor barely hesitates before pressing the thing in Deku's neck. He makes an odd whining sound at the intrusion, but it cuts off as the needle sinks further into his throat. He finally presses the plunger when the needle is sunk all the way in. Izuku makes an odd face as the man pulls the needle out and tosses it to the side. All for One lets go of the hair and heads straight where it is, eyes wide, trained on Katsuki. It'll just need a minute to sink in. God, the doctor's voice is annoying as fuck. What did you do to me? Deku still faces him, but he turns those wide eyes at the doctor. The man looks at All for One warily before replying. It's something of my own invention. Just a little injection to make you, and your quirk, more compliant. He steps towards Izuku and turns his head, peering into his eyes. Alright, he should be ready now. The handsy fucker looks all too excited as All for One steps up to Deku again. He places a hand on his forehead, and everything in the room stills. Izuku gasps and starts whining. Then he screams. It's so pain-filled that it has Katsuki shrieking back, away from the awful sound. The scream cuts off as abruptly as it started, when All for One pulls his hand away. The only sounds now are Izuku's sobs. His face is red, and his whole body is shaking. Katsuki inches to get out of these restraints and blow all these fuckers up. All for One rolls to the doctor, who backs away a little, hands raised. You said it would work. Wait, it should. Just try it again. Maybe we didn't wait long enough after all. The doctor sags in relief when the villain turns back around. Izuku tenses up, and his sobs get louder when All for One replaces his hand on his face. It's only a second before he screams again. They're quieter this time. Looks like Deku is running out of energy. Green swirls of lightning start dancing up All for One's arm, and Shigaraki starts laughing joyously. The sound cuts off when All for One is blasted backwards. Everyone looks at Izuku, his body protruding those green pieces of lightning. He looks awful, but he's still conscious enough to speak. Stay away from me. Katsuki has to restrain himself to hear, and he sits right up next to him. The shitty villains stand up and turn back towards the doctor. You knew what would happen if you failed me. The doctor starts backing away, but he hits the bar and has nowhere else to go. Just try again. It should work this time. I studied All Might's body and blood extensively, so I should know. Does this boy look like All Might to you? Obviously his body has taken the quirk better, you idiot. All for One lashes a hand forward, and it sinks into the doctor's chest. The man's eyes go wide as All for One pulls his hand out, red with the man's blood. The man drops to the floor, lifeless, and All for One simply grabs a towel from the bar and turns, wiping his hand off as he steps back to Izuku. How about this? If you don't give me that quirk, I'll just kill your friend. Katsuki tries to yell, tries to tell him not to listen to that stupid bastard. Who knows what'll happen if that man gets his quirk? The stupid fucking gag blocks it all. Izuku embraces himself as All for One places his hand back on his head. The most he could manage is a few whimpers before his body slumps. All for One pulls his hand away, and Deku's eyes are closed. He turns to Shigaraki. Make him wake up. He can't relinquish the quirk while unconscious. The man takes a step forward and pauses at the knock on the door. Kimi no pizza! Shouta hops into the first ambulance before it heads out. As much as he knows he should have stayed with the class, he'd leave it to Blad to wait for them until they all got on their way to get checked out. He needs to make sure his more seriously injured students make it to the hospital in one piece. The first few ambulances to arrive were escorted by police cars, and Shouta had handed off the fire villain to the first face he recognized. He then texted Tsukuichi to meet him at the hospital before jumping into the back of Kirishima's ambulance. Sensei. The boy's eyes are droopy, and his face is awful pale compared to the quickening, darkening bruises around his neck. What is it? He leans towards him a little, wary of getting into the MTA's way. Did you find them? Is Izuku okay? Every time he blinks, Kirishima takes longer to reopen his eyes. I'm sorry. The kid's face falls, and he closes his eyes as a few tears run down his ears. He doesn't reopen them. Shouta sits back and pulls his phone from his pocket, ignoring the EMTA glaring as he does so. There's an important call he needs to make. Hizashi picks up on the third ring. Sho, I was just about to call you. What's up? There's been an incident. How quickly can you go to the hospital closest to the training camp? Pretty quickly with Midnight's driving. What's going on, Sho? Did something happen with Izuku? Yeah, I'll explain there. Sho, what? He hangs up. As guilty as he feels for hanging up on his husband, there's absolutely no way he could tell him over the phone. Besides, it'll be better if he tells all the pros that Tsukuichi rounds up at the same time, so he doesn't have to repeat himself. By the time they pull up to the ER, Shouta can spot Hisashi's bright yellow hair waiting by the door. His husband gapes at the sight of them, hurrying Kirishima through the doors. Shouta doesn't follow, choosing instead to pull Hisashi in for a tight hug. How'd you get here so quickly? You realize the training camp is only just out of town, right? So the hospital isn't far from home. Hisashi pulls away as he speaks, eyeing Shota's condition. What the hell happened, Shouta? He turns towards Midnight. Both heroes are in their costumes, so they both took time to get changed before heading to the hospital. He knows neither of them were on duty tonight. Not here. I'll explain inside. He eyes the room number Tsukuichi had sent him before leading the other two into that direction. They find themselves at the conference room, and he pauses in the doorway. This is more heroes than he expected. Seated at the table is Tsukuichi, of course, but Best Genus, Eggshot, Comedy Woods, Grant Torino, Mountain Lady, Endeavor, and even All Might are here. Tsukuichi gestures for the three of them to sit before he opens his mouth. All right, Eraserhead will get you up to speed with the situation. Oh my god. Okay. Well, the doctor just died. Never liked him, so... I'm not crying, you're crying. Okay. Ooh. Next chapter is called Of Nox and a Rescue. It said a rescue, so it's gonna happen. Not a rescue attempt, a rescue. Summary. The rescue of Izuku and Bakugou is underway. What awaits the pros at the bar? Fuck that. What's the chapter name of the next one? Of Loud Whispers and a Reunion. Okay, thank you. That reassured my heart. Thank you very much. That reassured me. Okay. I know I just spoiled, but... Whew, I think we all needed that. Yeah. Yeah, we're not even halfway through this whole... Actually, no, we're about to reach... No, we're not. No, we're not. Never mind. I was about to say, we're about to reach the halfway mark. No, we fucking ain't. Right? It feels like that because we're about to reach 50, but this thing does not have 100 chapters. It has 127. That's a lot. That's a lot. I feel like I've been doing this for a while. This fanfic, not podficking. Although I have been podficking for a while. It's interesting. I just found out the other day that other podfickers listen to me. That's an interesting note. I don't know why I just thought that, like, I was in a little corner and no other podficker listens to me, and, like, it's just me, and, like, no other podfickers listen to me. Like, I listen to them, but they don't listen to me. Like, that's weird. But, like, I had confirmation the other day, and I was like, oh, that's, okay. That's something I need to wrap my head around. It's, okay, I have barely gotten my head around the fact that other people listen to me, right? Like, having to wrap my head around that some podfickers that I listen to and like to listen to also listens to me is a little mind-boggling. Especially because I do fanboy about some podfickers. One in particular, a lot, because that's the main one I listen to, right? I also listen to Mika. Mika's really good. I really love the Deku series. I re-listen to that shit on a regular basis. Like, goddamn, I know that story head and back. Like, that story had me, if I could listen to that fucking story for the first time, I would. God, I love that story. But, no, yeah, it's something I have to wrap my head around. It's weird. Whatever. Point taken is, back onto the subject of, just trying to survive and learn to love along the way. I don't want anything bad happening to Izuku, but unfortunately something's probably gonna happen, and I'm scared. So, alright, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.